Will the clerk please call the roll?
Freeholder Di Nicola.
Here.
Freeholder Felice.
Present.
Freeholder Gans.
Aye.
Freeholder Sullivan.
Here.
Freeholder Tonelli.
Here.
Freeholder Zor.
Here.
Chairwoman Voss.
Here. Evidence of a quorum is present. Everyone please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. And Sheriff Sardino, would you lead us in the pledge?
My pleasure. Please join me in honoring America.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Will the clerk please read the minutes to be accepted?
Minutes to be approved, January 14th, 2015, public meeting, all present. February 4th, 2015, work session, all present. February 11th, 2015, work session, absent freeholders Felice and Di Nicola. February 11th, 2015, public session, absent freeholders Felice and Di Nicola.
Move the minutes. So moved. Second.
Okay. Either vote, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, opposed? Okay, unanimously approved. May I have a motion to open the meeting to the public?
So, second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. We will now have the,
Madam Chair,
yes,
we haven't done the invocation.
but the minister isn't here,
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't know.
and they didn't want me to do it.
Shocking. Okay.
I could. We will now have the hearing of the general public with a 3-minute time limit in effect. The board attorney will keep the time. When the time of the speaker expires, the timekeeper will announce that the time has expired. Please fill out a card with your name, address, and general topic so we can keep a good flow. Anybody want to fill out one of these cards? Because, okay. Joseph Dunsay.
Good evening.
Good evening, Joe.
Today I'd like to talk about voting in Bergen County. In 2002, Congress and President Bush enacted the Help America Vote Act, and one of the goals of that act was to reduce barriers to voting that people with disabilities face. Now, last year I discovered that there's a barrier to voting that an entire class of people face in Bergen County. That class is the residents of Bergen Regional Medical Center. I brought this matter to the attention of Tom, who's the VP of Behavioral Health, and in January, he got back to me right away, said that he'd have someone look into the matter. And yesterday I got a voicemail from one of his employees saying that they got a box full of ballot request forms and they're going to make sure that the social workers can hand out the ballot request forms to people in their long-term care units. So we're all on the same team here. I just want a couple of things taken care of to make sure it's done absolutely right. First of all, I think that patients in every ward of Bergen Regional should be able to request ballots. That includes those who are in the long-term care facilities and those who are in the short-term care facilities, whether or not they're there voluntarily or involuntarily. Second of all, I think there needs to be a sign posted in every ward telling patients how they can ask for a ballot request form so they know they have that right. And third of all, I know that if an emergency happens when someone like shows up to the poll and doesn't have ID or something like that, you can fill out a provisional ballot. Well, a lot of people end up in Bergen Regional in an emergency situation, maybe the day before the election. So there should be some system for those people to fill out a provisional ballot. That's everything. I'd like your Board of Elections to follow up on this with Bergen Regional to make sure that happens in time for the primaries this June.
Thank you.
Anyone else wish to speak?
County Executive.
County Executive.
I'm sorry, Madam Chairwoman, that I didn't fill out a form.
Oh, that's
Just give us your name and address.
Time's up.
County Executive, 601 County Plaza,
You missed that.
across the 5th floor hall.
Chairwoman, the clock is off. Time's up.
See, I was gonna be nice.
I spoke earlier today at the work session, but I just want to thank the board for the support on the 2 resolutions to move forward the realignment of the Bergen County Police into the Sheriff's Department. As you see tonight, the sheriff's here, the county prosecutor's here, and members of the committee are sitting up here, Freeholder Zur and Freeholder Felice. And Council Florio was also being part of the committee. And I just want to thank the Freeholder Board for their support in making this monumental law enforcement issue happen in Bergen County. This is the single largest and most monumental issue that has taken place in Bergen County government since the charter was formed from a Freeholder Board to a county executive. And I want to thank each and every one of you for supporting this and for doing the right things for the people of Bergen County. And for that I commend you and I thank you.
Thank you. Sheriff.
Ask him if he filled one of those things.
He's got a gun.
Thank you. I filled out a form. I didn't realize it was
You're packing heat. We don't have to,
Sheriff
fill it
Michael
in.
Sordino, 10 Main Street. I just need to
That's
go on.
only your day address?
Well, lately I think it's been day and night. It's been, but I just need to go on record to tell you and commend the cooperation. You know, although you're voting on it tonight, we've been dealing with the county police department for the last 2 months, dealing with their captains. I've addressed their PBA, and they've been extremely professional, cooperative, and actually, you know, although they were against this, they realize it's happened, and they're anxious to get along and move along and do what's needed to be done. They're actually talking that hopefully in the future we can do something with a full merge, which would give their ranks an opportunity to advance. They'd be eligible to take tests to move up in their ranks. But I needed to at least tell you that we're working hard on it, but they are fully cooperative, both from the captains right on down to the PBA and all the members, and it's going very well. So I think you made a very wise decision on this, and I'm happy to be a part of it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Prosecutor Molinelli.
Good evening, John Molinelli, 10 Main Street, Hackensack, but I don't want any innuendos because the sheriff gave the same address. Good evening. For those of the members of the public that don't know, that is our Bergen County Justice Center across the street. I never publicly gave any statement with regard to how I felt going back 2 years, 3 years. In this very room years ago, we had a presentation by Guidepost Solutions. I felt as the prosecutor, I felt then, and even today, I felt that my goal was to make sure that whatever was done by the elected officials, including the sheriff, that there would never ever be any diminution of services to the 900,000 people that live in this county. I have felt all along, and I continue to feel today, that what has resulted from the memorandum and what is before you tonight will in no way diminish the outstanding services that has been presented to our residents by the Bergen County Police Department, by the Bergen County Sheriff's Department, and the 2,600 municipal police officers in this county. So I am ready for the task as your prosecutor to work with the sheriff, county police, Freeholder Board, and the administration. And I thank you for the original appointment on the panel and the privilege to serve. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Anyone else wish to speak? Hearing none.
Motion
make
to close.
a motion. Second. All in favor?
Aye.
I believe our minister has arrived. And we will have our invocation with Pastor Scott Boswick of the Grace Methodist Church in Wyckoff. And I ask him to please come forward, and we need a blessing at this point.
Thank you, honored members of the board and guests. And would you please bow your heads with me? Dear wise and loving God, first let me say thank you on behalf of all who are gathered here today. Thank you for your many and abundant blessings. Thank you for life itself, for the measure of health we need to fulfill our callings, for sustenance and for friendship. Thank you for the ability to be involved in useful work and for the honor of bearing appropriate responsibilities. Thanks as well for the freedom to embrace you or the freedom to reject you. Thank you for loving us even so, from your boundless and gracious nature. In the scriptures, you've said that citizens ought to obey the governing authorities, since you've established those very authorities to promote peace and order and justice. Therefore, I pray for the various levels of government officials, and in particular, for this assembled board of chosen freeholders. I'm asking that you would graciously grant them wisdom to govern amid the conflicting interests and issues of our times, that you'd grant them a sense of the welfare and true needs of our people, that you would grant them a keen thirst for justice and rightness, that you would grant them confidence in what is good and fitting, that you would grant them the ability to work together in harmony, even when there is honest disagreement, and that you would grant them personal peace in their lives and joy in their task. I pray for the agenda set before them tonight. Please give an assurance of what would please you and what would benefit those who live and work in and around our beloved Bergen County. It is in your most blessed name I pray. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you.
Will the clerk please read the resolutions on the consent agenda?
Resolutions on consent are resolutions 11215 through 169-15 and 171-15 through 174-15.
May I have a motion to accept the following resolutions on the consent?
Second.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Roll call.
Freeholder DiNicola?
Yes.
Freeholder Felice?
Yes.
Freeholder Gans?
Aye.
Freeholder Sullivan?
Yes.
Freeholder Tonelli?
Yes.
Freeholder Zor?
Yes.
Chairwoman Vaz?
Yes. Are there any resolutions of non-consent pulled or tabled? If so, will the clerk please read?
We have one resolution pulled, 170-15.
Okay. We will now review the ordinances for first reading and introduction of ordinances 15-04 and 15-05 and 15-06.
First one is ordinance 1504, an ordinance amending the Bergen County Administrative Code to provide for the office of Deputy County Administrator.
May I have a motion to introduce?
Second.
All in favor? Opposed? Any discussion on this ordinance 1504?
Freeloader Felice? I've been called that. But I'll take
It's been a
freeloader.
long day, I'm so sorry.
That's quite all right. I have to change my badge. Madam Chairwoman, this was on the agenda, and I think before I would consider voting in the affirmative, I would like to gather some more information as far as what other counties have a deputy county administrator. What are some of the issues that took place here? And I know there was some anecdotal information that was shared by some folks to me, but I think that before I can vote in the affirmative for this first reading, and it is the first reading of this ordinance, that I honestly be persuaded that we actually need one, and I would like to see documentation of events that our county did not function as well because of the fact we didn't have one. And certainly I understand the need to have someone step in if the county administrator leaves for whatever reason or has a leave of absence. But as far as this position being created, I'm really not really comfortable voting in the affirmative because of the fact of the lack of evidence that I would need before I would make a decision in the affirmative.
Freeholder Tina.
Thank you, Chairwoman. Just a few things. First of all, sitting here for 2 years, there were a number of times that we were left with somebody that should not have been sitting in this chair. There was a point that was brought up many times by this freeholder board to have the correct person sitting in that seat in the absence of the administrator and his inability to be here. Also, a county of our size, 6 counties currently in New Jersey have a deputy administrator. This is the largest county. The amount of work is overbearing, to say the least. And it's also been the recommendation of 2 of the Republican administrators that have left that out of one of the main things we need here is to have a deputy in place. So that's why I'll be supporting this first reading, second reading. It's something that we need. It's something that's going to help us perform as a county, and it's going to help the other side of the hallway get the job done that needs to be done. We need a representative here when we're at any meetings to answer questions and help when the citizens do come to us with questions. We need to make sure we have somebody that's qualified to answer those questions. Thank you.
Freeholder Gantz.
Thank you. I had some issues with respect to the way that the resolution and the ordinance was drawn. I am satisfied, after speaking with our county council, that any of the issues that I had have been resolved. Significantly, when Ed Truinsky was the county administrator and took a medical leave of absence, there were a number of people who sat in the administrator's chair. They were not qualified under the ordinance. They were not qualified to be here. They were nice people, and they were knowledgeable about the areas of the county that they worked on day to day, but not the position of county administrator. I'm convinced, after looking at this for 12 years, that we've grown to the point where we need a county administrator deputy, and I will be supporting this both on introduction and final passage.
Please, I agree with Freeholder Police in that I would like to see more information before I vote in the affirmative. There are 8 counties that do have deputies. They're listed in the ordinance, but the majority of those counties do not have a county executive form of government. We do. We have a county executive who essentially is a full-time leader here in the county, and I think it's my time.
I didn't want to interrupt you. Who needs coffee?
I was just going to say something nice. I have every respect for our county administrator, Administrator Valley, and while I do understand emergent and extraordinary situations come up, my concern is in incurring further costs for the county and growing government with another position that in the ordinance right now is not delineated as full-time, or whether it will be a salary or not a salary or stipend. So without those questions answered, I will not be supporting this ordinance moving forward, but thank you.
Well, I just wanted to say that we are the largest county. We are pushing almost 1 million people, and I'm here almost every day, and I have been over on the executive side of the building, and I have seen the work that our county executive and our administrator does on a daily basis. It's more than, I mean, I think the two of them are working 24/7 just about. And I am going to fully support this because there are counties smaller than Bergen County that have a person in this deputy's position. And I think that, to keep our county running as smoothly, as efficiently as it has begun this new term, I would support this very, very much.
Madam Chair, if I might, just a couple points of clarification. That is correct. I mean, there are a number of other counties that certainly do utilize a deputy county administrator. The administrative code, as we all know, the code that we work with today was actually drawn and implemented in the 80s, and it was conceived as a living and breathing document. The document has had some amendments over the years, but clearly in the year 2015, with the size of the government that we have, with the population that we have, there is certainly room for adjustments throughout the administrative code. And in fact, the county executive has made it clear that he is literally going page by page through the code to see, and looking at each department to see where we can create some efficiencies, some better collaborative partnerships within our own family here, with departments that work together but are, are separate and apart, but still need each other to move projects forward. So we're simply, it's our intention with this ordinance is to codify, if you will, that particular position. Over the course of the previous 4 county executives, a deputy county administrator has been utilized. It was utilized under the Schumer administration, and it was utilized under the Donovan administration. But without having that particular position, and that is a high-level position, it's a senior management position, without clearly spelling out the educational requirements, experience, etc., and that was obviously never included in the original draft of the administrative code. It leaves you sort of in the dark when it comes to filling a position like that. And as I indicated, that county executive felt that the time was now to actually put that position on paper within the code. I can tell you we have nobody in the on-deck circle to fill that position, but it's strictly internal housekeeping because we believe that that position may be helpful at some point, if not during this county executive's administration, but perhaps, the next county executive. But at least it'll be within the administrative code and something that you can reference. And we've never had that before with other individuals that have served technically in the role of the deputy county administrator. And they have served in that role with that title.
Anyone else wish to speak?
Madam Chair? In the past, we have seen past administrations provide stipends for positions like administration and finance and kind of do an end run around what we're trying to accomplish here. This is going to create a position that is going to be able to provide a seamless line of authority and abilities here, and that for that reason, rather than doing an end run, placing people in different departments, utilizing things as they've been done in the past, I think this is going to make a nice, smooth transition and provide a good line of work and delegation of authority. And I think that for that reason, I'm going to be supportive of this ordinance.
Okay. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Freeholder Di Nicola?
No.
Freeholder Felice?
No.
Freeholder Gans?
Aye.
Freeholder Sullivan?
Yes.
Freeholder Chanelli?
Yes.
Freeholder Zord?
Yes.
Chairwoman Vaz?
Yes. Ordinance 1504 passes. First reading. Clerk, please read ordinance 1505 by title only.
An ordinance 1505 is an ordinance establishing a speed limit along Kindercomic Road in the borough of River Edge.
May I have a motion to introduce ordinance 1505?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Nay. Any discussion on this ordinance 1505?
Madam Chair, if I may.
Yes, you may.
I live in River Edge. Kindercomack is a very vibrant road that goes to New York State down to Hackensack. And all I have to say is it's an improved quality of life for the folks in River Edge, and I think it's a great idea and long due and coming. So thank you very much for this board, and I'll be supporting this in the affirmative.
Anyone else? Chairman, Freeholder Gans.
Thank you. Just briefly, this is one of the many functions of order and regular government that the Freeholder Board has. Typically, this arises when somebody in a municipality wants to see the speed limit regulated, increased or decreased. They typically go to their police department, traffic study is ordered, goes through the mayor and council, which makes a recommendation, comes to the county, and thus to the Freeholder Board. I'll be supporting this.
Anyone else wish to speak?
I just want to say, I hope that Freeholder Felice doesn't get the first ticket on Kindercomack Road.
No comment. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Freeholder DiNicola?
Yes.
Freeholder Feliz?
Yes.
Freeholder Gans?
Aye.
Freeholder Sullivan?
Yes.
Freeholder Tonelli?
Yes.
Freeholder Zor?
Yes.
Chairwoman Bowles?
Yes. Ordinance 1505 passes first reading. Will the clerk read ordinance 1506 by title only?
1506 is an ordinance amending the golf fee schedule for the use of Bergen County golf courses and facilities.
May I have a motion to introduce
So moved.
ordinance
Second.
1506? Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Any discussion on this ordinance 1506? Okay.
You're gonna twist my arm. Basically, this is an opportunity. I met with the people that are responsible for the golf courses this week and had a lengthy conversation. I'm very impressed with the plan that they're rolling out. They are truly the experts in this field, and I feel very confident that our golf courses are going to be second to none moving forward. So this is just part of the beginning of getting that stuff in line. So thank you.
Freeholder DiNicola.
I just want to add that the cost goes to the maintenance of the golf courses, and while the increases are nominal, I was happy to see that active military and veterans, their fees actually went down. So I want to thank the Parks Department for considering them as well. Thank you.
Anyone else? Oh, Freeholder Gans.
Thank you.
Okay.
I'm going to make an inspection of the county courses between introduction and second reading. I'm going to bring my clubs with me, and I'm going to give a report to the Freeholder Board. I want to say that the only difference between me and the best golfer in the world is 5 strokes a hole. Thank you.
I have one question. Are you going to use a black ball? I mean, there's a lot of snow on the ground.
We got it. Anyone else? Okay. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Freeholder, we have a motion to second.
Yes.
Freeholder DiNicola?
Yes.
Freeholder Feliz?
Yes.
Freeholder Gans?
Aye.
Freeholder Sullivan?
Yes.
Freeholder Tonelli?
Yes.
Freeholder Zor?
Yes.
Chairwoman Bowles?
Yes. Ordinance 1506 passes first reading. We will now go into our ordinances for second reading and adoption. Will the clerk please read ordinance 1501?
The proof of publication of ordinance notice of public hearing was published in the Record and the Herald News on Sunday, February 8th, 2015, and it is on file in her office. A copy of the notice of hearing in ordinance number 1501 was duly posted pursuant to NJSA 48:2-17 on Friday, February 6th, 2015. An ordinance amending section 7.4 of the Administrative Code of the County of Bergen to reflect the provisions of a memorandum of agreement signed on January 1st, 2015.
May I have a motion to open the ordinance to the public for comment?
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Anyone in the public wish to discuss this ordinance? Lenny? I don't know.
Yes. Yeah, Nick Hackensack. How much did this all cost?
I don't understand.
How many years did it take? When did it really start? Donovan?
Yes, you may.
The initiative.
I can't get it.
Well, I'll speak louder then. The initiative for this ordinance was actually begun several years ago, but it was not until last year that the ordinance was initially introduced and adopted. And that was to realign the county police into the office of the sheriff.
When was that?
I really don't recall the actual date of adoption.
I mean,
I think it was sometime in September.
September
of 2014.
Of 14.
Yes.
And how much did it cost?
Well, the cost would be different.
Well, are we done with it?
No, it's actually just really beginning.
Okay, how much has it cost so far? Roughly, million,
The
two?
cost would be impossible to quantify. There have been no actual costs incurred by the county for the process of initiating the realignment, and the actual process is estimated at this point to ultimately save county taxpayers tens, if not hundreds of millions of dollars.
I heard that. How much did it cost, about?
There is no cost, actually.
Just somebody out there. Just the cost to the Bergen County Police for all their emblems and whatever else they have to change, none of this should cost the Bergen County Police anything. It shouldn't cost the police, officers, whatever they have to do to change their uniform. I don't even know if they have the same uniforms or not. That should go to the freeholder and to the people. Because it's not their doing, it's the freeholders doing. So any cost to the police officers themselves shouldn't be put on the police, the Bergen County Police. And police cars, change in the letter, and the Bergen County Police building is what? Sold historically, maybe save it, but what's gonna happen to that?
Sir, you're speaking about Zabriskie Street?
Yes, sir.
The old police department? Because as you know, the police department's now located at 327 East Ridgewood in Paramus.
I didn't know that.
The previous administration moved the police department there. Zabriskie Street, the county administration, in conjunction with the Freeholder Board, in fact, we've briefed
It's all
some of
supposed
the
to be
freeholders
developed.
already. We are selling Zabriskie Street. We're selling the property, which includes the DPW part and
Everything, I
the
know.
old county police headquarters. That property would be sold to the highest bidder at a public auction.
And does the city of Hackensack have anything to do with it?
They don't have anything to do with the sale itself.
Yeah.
But certainly, if it's sold to a private developer, the city of Hackensack will benefit from the ratables that will be produced once it's in the hand of a private developer.
Why don't you, just give it to the city of Hackensack? Because you take a lot from the city of Hackensack, and eventually whatever you do is gonna be, you guys could, they could come in with a nuclear plant and sell nuclear energy to PSE&G. You got the highest bidder, and Hackensack is what? In charge of a nuclear power plant? I mean, realistically, it could happen. I've been following, and you know me a little bit, but you can follow me from the last 70 years I've been in Hackensack. My mother's been in 90 years. It can happen. So I don't know how you're gonna figure the highest bidder, trucking company, on it,
Mr. Nix, in the end though, the city of Hackensack benefits.
from a nuclear.
Not from a bio-nuclear thing.
Nuclear?
But I mean, if the county sells it to a private developer.
Hold it. Are you selling it to a private developer, or are you selling it to the highest bidder?
Obviously, the county is looking for the highest price for the property.
Right. So don't say
That is our
developer.
goal.
Scrap, your objective is to get the most money you can for you.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Without question.
I think, and I'm gonna, if the Hackensack is so out, because I'm taking them to court, I wanna shut them down. I'm in the process of that paper I threw around. I'm in the process of shutting that down, okay? And That's happening.
The speaker's time has expired, Chairman.
Who said it?
Well, we have a rule.
You know what? You should shut down the freeholders. And, clerk of the board, one goes to the police. They don't get any.
Are there any other speakers?
They ain't worth nothing.
On this?
5 minutes is up.
Okay.
Hey,
I have a motion.
hey, get my 5 minutes is up.
But I guess that's what they were for me anyway.
They're ridiculous.
Come on, let's go.
They're
Right
ridiculous.
here, right here.
Why don't you buy it?
Come on, this way, this way.
Hey, go that this way. Why don't you buy it? Tell the garbage dump. Get the most money you can.
So what we're about to do here tonight, as the county executive, the sheriff, and the prosecutor have mentioned, is historic. This realignment is going to create efficiencies, not just by creating the right economies of scale, not just by unifying our efforts and reducing duplication of service, but really by enhancing the service to the residents of Bergen County in the process. This was decades of discussion, years of hard work and study, and I want to thank, first of all, Prosecutor Molinelli for chairing the realignment panel and for your tireless work drafting to the last minute on New Year's Eve. Sheriff, I want to thank you as well, County Executive, for all the work that you all put in. But I also want to make sure that we thank Detective Sergeant Louis Darminio, retired Chief Michael Bruno, Sergeant Edward McDonough, Captain William Marshall, and so many chiefs throughout Bergen County who provided their input to the formulation of this realignment report. Change is never easy, but the hard work that went into this and the steps that we set forth really will make us continue to be able to provide top-notch law enforcement throughout Bergen County, and it wouldn't have been possible without the efforts of so many. And as the sheriff indicated at the Bergen County Chiefs Association meeting a couple weeks back, the input from the law enforcement community is going to continue to be important. We're going to continue to have feedback from all of the members of our law enforcement community so that we can continue to make sure that this continues in a seamless fashion. I know the audit that's going to go forth in the next 6 months is going to be critical, and I look forward to the taxpayer savings that this is going to result in. We have already seen savings. We're going to continue to see savings, and I really applaud all the members of the board for all the work that they did to get us to this day. So thank you.
Freeholder Canelli.
Thank you, Chairman. First, I'd like to just echo Freeholder Zor's comments and just take this in a little bit different direction. There's been talk for years in Bergen County and on this board to get this done. People spoke about it, both sides, both Democrats and Republicans. This decision was a bipartisan decision, and I'm just proud that this is something that Tracy and I said that we would get out in front of and we would stay on it until it happens. And when it happens this year officially and we're all working together, it's going to be a very proud moment for myself because we didn't talk about doing it, we actually got it done. So I commend everybody that was involved, everybody that spent tireless hours, right down to people that spearheaded this from the very beginning with the white paper on how it should be done and people that actually finalized it, all the people that Tracy mentioned. This is just a proud moment for this board, and I can't wait to support this. Thank you.
Freeholder Police.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. In my own profession, my objectives are to improve healthcare and reduce costs. And when it comes to public safety, I believe this ordinance will do the same. As to Janelle's point, it's been talked about for years, if not decades. And many times something as important as this event that we're going to be voting on, people disagree. And people stand in the way. People of Bergen County spoke. They spoke loudly and clearly. I'm very proud to have worked with my colleagues on both sides of the aisle because to me this was the right thing to do. And as an elected official, you do your best to do that. And I tried to do that. And I'm very proud to be a part of this decision because I think it will not just effectuate a positive change now and this year, but years to come. But what it also does, it breaks the reins of the ability of government never to be changed. You know, our founding fathers provided the ability for us to change government to fit the needs of their residents and citizens. So I want to thank all my colleagues on this board, the constitutional officers, the county executive, and everyone else that volunteered to be a part of this committee and to work this and fight this battle. And it was a battle. And I'm very humbled to vote in the affirmative. I'm very proud to vote with my colleagues in the affirmative. And I just want to say it's a great day for Bergen County and the people of Bergen County. Thank you very much, Madam Chair.
Freeholder Gans.
Thank you. Just a few comments. I spent my first 10 years on this board avoiding dealing with this issue and leaving it to Bernadette McPherson, Tommy Padilla to discuss it. And I spent the last 2 years helping bring this to conclusion. I want to thank, in addition to my colleagues, our staff. Mike Kaplan in particular spent hundreds of hours calculating the savings to taxpayers, and the savings are going to be significant. It's going to be felt in this year's budget and in the budget that comes for the next 25 years. I'm proud to have been a part of this and proudly cast my vote in favor of this evening. Thank you.
Chairwoman, as a latecomer to the game, my first reaction was public safety. Meeting with the county executive and going over how the transition will work, I am very comfortable that public safety will not suffer. You can't put a price on public safety. The way the sheriff has laid it out, the county executive has laid it out, that is no longer a concern to me. The services will be top-notch, and without that, it would have been hard for me as a newcomer to come in and support it. But speaking with the sheriff and the county executive, I have no concerns that public safety will suffer at all, and that's our main concern, other than saving the money. Obviously, the money is very important. Public safety is also important. But here, to me, seems to be a win-win situation. So, as a latecomer, I will definitely be supporting.
Any other comments? I'm so happy that we're finally going to be voting on this ordinance, because this has been our #1 priority pretty much for the last couple of years. And I am ecstatically happy that it is finally a done deal. People come up to me and say, what's happening? And I said, it has happened. And so now it will happen. Roll call, please.
Freeholder Dean Cullen?
No.
Freeholder Felice?
Yes.
Freeholder Gans?
Aye.
Freeholder Sullivan?
Yes.
Freeholder Tonelli?
Yes.
Freeholder Zor?
Yes.
Chairwoman Vaz?
Yes. Ordinance 1501 is adopted. Will the clerk please read the next ordinance?
The proof of publication of ordinance notice of public hearing was published in the record and the Herald News on Sunday, February 8, 2015, and is on file in her office. A copy of the notice of hearing and ordinance of 1502 was duly posted pursuant to NJSA 48:2-17 on Friday, February 6, 2015. Ordinance number 1502 is an ordinance adopting a table of organization pursuant to the memorandum of agreement signed on January 1st, 2015 for the Bergen County Police Department to be known as the Bergen County Sheriff Bureau of Police Services during the post-realignment period.
May I have a motion to open the public hearing on ordinance 1502 only? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
The public hearing is now open with a 5-minute time limit, and the board attorney will keep the time. When the time of the speaker expires, the time people will announce the time has expired. Anyone wish to speak?
Motion to close.
I'll second that.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. The public hearing on ordinance 1502 is closed. Would anyone like to discuss or comment on 1502? Board.
Just the fact that there are, Madam Chair, if I may, just the fact that there are no comments shows how far we have come in this discussion. And to see the public acceptance and the understanding of what we're about to do here tonight is really wonderful. So I, once again, reiterate my thanks and underscore just what a proud moment this is for all of us.
Roll call, please.
Hold on one second, please.
I'm sorry.
I just want to say thank you to the county executive, thank you to the sheriff, and thank you to the prosecutor, and thank the board for leading us to this historic vote.
Roll call?
Freeholder Di Nicola.
No.
Freeholder Felice.
Yes.
Freeholder Gans.
Aye.
Freeholder Sullivan.
Yes.
Freeholder Tinelli.
Yes.
Freeholder Zor.
Yes.
Chairwoman Vaz.
Yes. Ordinance 1502 is adopted. Will the clerk please read the next ordinance?
Approve of publication of ordinance notice of public hearing was published in the record and the Herald News on Sunday, February 8, 2015, and on Sunday, February 15, 2015, and is on file in her office. A copy of the notice of hearing and ordinance number 1503 was duly posted pursuant to NJSA 48:2-17 on Friday, February 6, 2015. Ordinance 1503 is an ordinance of the County of Bergen to amend the Bergen County District Solid Waste Management Plan for the Waste Management of New Jersey, Inc., Fairview Transfer Station. Proposed plan amendment to increase in solid waste tonnage from 950 tons per day to 1,400 tons per day.
May I have a motion to open the public, the hearing to the public?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. The public hearing is now open with a 5-minute time limit. The board attorney will keep the time. When the time of the speaker expires, the timekeeper will announce the time has expired. Would anyone like to speak on 1503?
Motion to close, ma'am?
Motion to
Second.
close. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Now open the floor for the board members to comment on ordinance 1503. Roll call, please.
Freeholder Di Nicola.
Yes.
Freeholder Felice.
Yes.
Freeholder Gans.
Aye.
Freeholder Sullivan.
Yes.
Freeholder Tinelli.
Yes.
Freeholder Zor.
Yes.
Chairwoman Vaz.
Yes, ordinance 1503 is adopted. I have an announcement that I'd like to make at this point in time. In order to give the freeholders an opportunity to meet with local community members and allow them to participate in our public meetings closer to home, I would like to announce that the Freeholder Board will be holding a freeholder meeting on the road. Our first meeting on the road this year will be on April the 22nd at 7:30 p.m. in Rutherford, in the Rutherford Council Chambers. This is our first announcement of this meeting. We will, of course, have more announcements and will be advertising well in advance to alert the county and the community of this change of location for the public meeting. Now we'll have committee reports. Freeholder Police.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I look forward to this body receiving the budget from the county executive, and hopefully we can complete the process of reviewing that with my colleagues and having our appropriate meetings to discuss how best to construct this budget and look out for both the residents of Bergen County and the taxpayers. So within the future, I hope we can get it and start to dig into it and get the job done for the people of Bergen County. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Freeholder Di Nicola.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I want to begin by saying that along with my fellow freeholders, I attended the Interfaith Breakfast, which is always a great way to start off the year. A lot of legislators from the state on down to local municipalities, as well as representatives from every faith in Bergen County. And this year the speaker was Rabbi David Rosen from Jerusalem. Rabbi Rosen is the International Director of Interreligious Affairs of the American Jewish Committee. And he spoke very well. I think his words are so timely. He gave us something positive at the end by saying that there have been so many meetings, including with high-level officials from many of the Muslim countries in the Middle East, and that there is agreement, and there is hope that there could be peace moving forward, although we know it's going to be a very difficult road. I also want to mention on tonight's agenda is Resolution 174, which is a resolution on from the Freeholder Board in support of the DCA reviewing and updating their building construction codes, especially their fire codes. This was a resolution that was born out of that fire in Edgewater. I circulated it, and there were comments that were made by the county executive that we incorporated in. This is certainly an issue that we're all in agreement. And one thing that I learned was that state fire code is changed through suggestion, which I didn't know before we had discussed this. And we are certainly going to make our voices heard in a very commonly used form of construction in multifamily housing, because it is cheap and it is legal, but hopefully will make a difference. I'd like to announce that the Alfred J. Thomas Home, which is our veterans home here in Garfield, received a $300,000 grant through the Department of Community Affairs, and I know that will be coming before us soon. That was good news to hear as we continue our good work for our veterans. Also on February 19th was the 70th anniversary of Iwo Jima. And unfortunately for the last 2 weeks I've been out with the flu, so my aide went to Fairlawn, where the VFW had an incredible ceremony. Our World War II veterans are certainly a dwindling community, but without them we wouldn't be where we are now. Unfortunately, that was the war to end all wars, and while that didn't happen, it did change the world for the better. And battles like that, where in 36 hours almost 7,000 Americans were killed, need to be memorialized. In terms of flooding, because the spring comes and all this snow starts to melt, we know flooding is going to be an issue. I wanted to announce that there's going to be a stormwater management workshop about storm gardens and rain gardens in your backyard on May 19th. It's going to be held at Bergen Community College. It's something being done in conjunction with the county. United Water is helping to underwrite it. Rutgers is going to be there presenting, and Bergen Community College is providing the facility over at Ender Hall, where the child care is. And the last thing I wanted to mention is legislation that's being drafted in the state right now in memory of Madison Holleran. Madison was that freshman at the University of Pennsylvania who unfortunately committed suicide. It was a shock to all of her friends and her family. And right now the New Jersey Senate is looking at a bill that would require suicide prevention counselors to be at every New Jersey college and readily available 24/7 when a young person is in need. Very often alcohol is involved, and it is during the off hours, but this would make certain at least someone would be there on the other end of the phone. And maybe at our next meeting we could put forward a resolution through the legislative committee to do just that. And that's my report, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Madam Chair. In the last week, there was a wonderful, a well-written, I should say, editorial by Tom Toronto, an op-ed, regarding housing for those that are disabled. That there's a rule that is pending before the state that would limit choices, housing choices for people with developmental disabilities to either 4-bedroom group homes or to 25% of units in a larger housing development. With the shortage of housing that we see for all of those with developmental disabilities throughout the state and the closing of the developmental centers, this interpretation of the CMS rule is completely misplaced. I've been trying to get clarification. Our federal legislators have indicated to me that this is not the rule that the CMS intended. There are petitions that are circulating. I have a link for one of them, which I will give to you for the insert here, to vocalize the needs as far as this community is concerned to Don Apgar as these decisions are being made, so that we can assure that there is continued housing for those. The biggest fear that most parents have whether they have an adult child is what happens when I'm gone. Where is my child going to live? How can we continue to provide these services? This rule will hinder all the projects that the United Way has in process. It will hinder a lot of other development throughout the county. And this is something that I feel really strongly that we need to speak out on. This week, I also went to my first CAP meeting, and I saw some wonderful work that we have going on as far as redevelopment in Hackensack and in Garfield. But really, I want to thank, I really want to use the bulk of my committee report to thank the members of the board and so many members of the community. We had a loss in my family this week. We were sitting Shiva. I felt so much support from my colleagues, and I just want to thank all of you for being there for my family in a time where we really needed to feel embraced by our community. So thank you.
Freeholder, yes.
Thank you, and good evening. This is Black History Month, and we're coming to a conclusion of it. Tomorrow evening, we have an event here in the council chambers at 6 o'clock. I encourage you to come and to attend. I've had the privilege this month to speak at several public libraries in the county. I spoke in Teaneck and in Bergenfield, and we're speaking in Englewood next month on the topic of African literature, nothing to do with Bergen wellness. My interest in African literature goes back 40 years. I've authored a book on the subject, and I think that if you care to see it, you will find it most interesting. Some of you know that I'm also an avid coin collector. Well, I offer you a question and a challenge. Why aren't Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. and Jesse Owens on circulating legal tender commemorative coins? We have had legal tender non-circulating coins for a number of outstanding African Americans, and this includes George Washington Carver and Booker T. Washington. It includes Jackie Robinson. It includes Booker T. Washington on a single coin and Crispus Attucks. We also have one African American on a circulating 25-cent piece, and that would be Duke Ellington for the District of Columbia State Reporter Program. I say to you, and I offer this as a challenge, I want to be able to tell you next year that there's progress in having Congress enact a circulating coin honoring Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. and Jesse Owens. Now, it wouldn't be Black History Month for me if I didn't bring out a photo that helps me relate to all this. Here's a photo taken in 1974, 75. The guy over here is me. And the gentleman over here is Jesse Owens, who was the great Olympic track star of the 1936 Olympic Games, when he was the world's fastest human and where he stood for democracy in Berlin, such that Adolf Hitler left the reviewing stands to avoid shaking his hand and congratulating him on his 4 Olympic gold medals. I came to know him in the 1970s as part of a coin program that involved the Canadian Olympics. He was a paid spokesman for the Montreal Games, and what a marvelous, marvelous, self-effacing human being who I'm very proud to have called a friend, even though it was a limited period of time towards the end of his life. I'm not going to talk about Bergen wellness tonight, but I promise I will be back to it later. This is my last photo for Black History Month, and this gentleman came up to Bergen County during one of the elections or another, and he was a senator then, but his name is Barack Obama, and he did go on to do other things. Thank you all very much. That concludes my report.
Thank you. Freeholder Sullivan.
Good evening.
This is back in my district.
I'd like to talk about last public meeting. I brought up that I was going to have a meeting with Sue Debiak, who is the Bergen County Coordinator for the Office of Alcohol and Dependency Services in Bergen County. I did have a meeting with her, and it was very informative. We talked about a lot of issues about prevention. We talked about getting the word out in the schools. We talked about the municipal alliances and how we can help. We talked about how this problem just isn't in one community. The heroin problem, if that's what we're talking about. There's definitely some need for some more help in prevention and treatment. And currently we have 34 beds at Bergen Regional. And hopefully in the future we can expand that. And I think the county executive has some great plans for Bergen Regional medical, and maybe we could work that into our plans going forward, but it's an issue and it needs to be addressed. What I've done through her is I will be getting in touch with, municipal alliances throughout the county and hopefully be able to speak to the Bergen County Police Chiefs Association about educating the children, because we would like to get it before it becomes an epidemic. And as you know, the article in the record that's been going on has been about people in other counties and other towns, and these people aren't from Patterson, and they're from everywhere in the county, everywhere in Bergen County, and it's a problem. So through education, hopefully, we can combat the problem, at least help, and I would like to have a part in that. There's a prescription drop box that some municipalities are involved with. It's a place you can come and drop off household medication. Sometimes that's where the children start, is mommy and daddy leave their old medication in the medicine cabinet. We're just as guilty as anybody, and the children get it, and then one thing leads to another. So about 20 to 70 towns in Bergen County have a permanent prescription drop box. It's set up in the police stations of each borough that is involved. It's monitored, and it's totally anonymous. You can come put your drugs. The only reason it's monitored is no one obviously does the wrong thing there. And I think it'd be a great tool. People can come and take their drugs that they don't need or they're done with and dispense of them properly, and they stay out of the improper hands. So I got quite an education on that, and hopefully we can move forward and we can help a lot of people. I also like to talk about Read Across America. I'll be reading to some children in Bergenfield, Lodi, Garfield, and of course my wife, who's also a teacher in Bergenfield, recruited me for this one. And I told her we had to make sure the books were appropriate that I could read. And she agreed, so that's something I'm looking forward to, again, to be in touch with the youth of the community. And that's about all I have, Chairwoman.
Thank you very much. Freeholder Tonelli.
Thank you, Chairwoman. A few things before I go on to a couple of my written notes. One is, I just want to say how proud I am of this board. Freeholder Dina Cola touched on 17415, and it just shows this board working cooperatively with the county. It's been sorely missing since I've been here, and it's a pleasure to actually see that we can have conversations and dialogue and share ideas and bring them out in resolutions that unanimously get voted on by this board. So I want to say thank you, sir. Also, I'd like to thank the chairwoman and also Jared Lutz for working on these mobile meetings. These remote meetings were something that Tracy and I talked about 2 years ago. They were very important to us. There's challenges that are involved in bringing freeholder meetings to all over the county, but I think it's a necessity. People don't really know all over the county what this board actually does and what we're responsible for, and when you actually start to tell them, it's really amazing. They are amazed at what this board encompasses. So the more people we can reach by going out into the community, into other municipalities, and hold our meetings and let them see the kind of business and work that we do, I think the education will be tenfold. I think it'll be just a great opportunity for other towns to see. On February 20th, I visited a woman from North Arlington, Rose Angelone, at her home. The reason for my visit was to bring her accommodation from this board. Rose turned 100 on February 20th. Her family was having a huge party. They were preparing for the party. It was actually a beautiful thing. She still has great health, and she asked a lot of questions, which was great. But those are the type of things that are very enjoyable when you get to share moments like that with residents of this county. So Rose, happy birthday, God bless you. Lastly, I just wanted to mention that I'm still not happy with the closing of the Azad Center. Schools have to now scramble to make other arrangements. Some of the events that could have brought revenue and checks to those employees are going to be canceled. There's still a number of questions that need to be answered, and for me, this is not a dead issue. Thank you.
Thank you. Just a few things. On Sunday, because this is Black History Month, several of us, Freeholder Gantz, Freeholder Tonelli, Freeholder Zera, myself, went to Mount Olive Baptist Church for a very, very interesting program on Black history. And we had two very, very important speakers, Senator Menendez and Senator Cory Booker, and it was a very, very enjoyable program. And tomorrow night, here in this hall, we are going to have another Black History program. It begins at 6 o'clock, and we have some guest speakers and some entertainment, and so if you're available, you should stop in, because being a history teacher, I'm always very interested in people knowing why we celebrate the things that we celebrate. This year marks the 152nd anniversary of the Emancipation Proclamation, and it's also the 52nd anniversary of the March on Washington on August 28, 1963. So these things are very important, because as every historian will tell you, those who refuse to study history shall be condemned to relive it. So we have to study our history. A couple of things, just as a point, 174-15 is something that they are working on, a similar piece of legislation in Trenton. The Speaker of the New Jersey Assembly, Vincent Prieto, is very interested in this. He's a building code inspector by trade, and so I know that we will be working in tandem with legislators from Trenton to make sure that our building codes are much better than they have been in the past. I remember a friend of mine who's in construction driving past the project that burned down in Edgewater as it was being built, and said, I don't approve of the type of construction that's being done, but it is legal. Well, now we have to make it better than legal. We have to make it much, much better. Just as a point, I have to commend the Bergen Record, because they are doing a series of articles on education. And as an educator, I'm very concerned with the amount of testing that is going on and that is being mandated, especially for children between their 3rd and 11th year. The testing takes up unbelievable amounts of time and takes away from instruction that will teach the kids critical thinking, because what basically is happening now is the teachers are teaching to the test. That's not teaching. And now, if you read the newspapers, you'll see quite a few editorials about how people are not very happy with the PARCC tests. These will take an extraordinary amount of time, and parents are up in arms, and boards of education are not too happy, and so I think we have to reassess that, and I think Trenton is reassessing this, because the timelines they had originally established are being set back further and further, because these tests haven't been vetted properly. And so please, education is our most important asset in terms of our children. And so please read about these things, be very vocal, because education is the most important thing, as I said, in our lives, and it helps us think and prepare for vocations. But testing and testing and testing is just not the way. So that's my sermon for the day. Okay. There being no further business to come before this meeting, may I have a motion to adjourn? Second. All in favor? Aye. Any nays? We are adjourned.